what are the various data collection methods, what you have to, take care of, what are the things that you need to take care of, how you decide what respondents to select, and method of data collection, what are the various advantages and disadvantages of various methods. So we are going to discuss that. Okay, yeah. So the first question that comes in mind is, what is survey? What do you understand by survey?
I'm collecting opinion of group of people.
You are collecting opinions. Yes. You're collecting opinions. Anything else? What is survey?
It can be in a form of questionnaire.
It can be in a form of questionnaire, right? So basically quantitative. Okay, anything else regarding surveys? What kind of data are you collecting? Is it primary or is it secondary?
Primary.
Ma'am, primary.
Primary. It's primary. So we'll cover introduction to survey research. What is the purpose of conducting surveys? Why we conduct surveys? What are the various reasons for conducting surveys? Then methods of data collection. You see interviews, observation, questionnaire, all these methods. And there are certain other methods like panel research, audit, and consumer panel, and then mechanical devices are also used to, do that observation. So the learning objectives is to identify the information required. What all information is required? Because see, what kind of information you require from a survey defines that your next, steps. That is, what is going to be your data collection method? Where will you get these respondents? Who are these respondents? And accordingly, you do your planning. Okay, so you describe and justify the appropriate respondents for a survey. What is going to be the communication techniques? Whether you are going to cover, cover through household, as in door-to-door interviews. That is it going to be personal interviews, or can you reach out to them through mails, get it filled online? So all these mediums that you decide. After that, appropriate survey method. What are the factors that will influence the selection of a survey method? Which one is cheaper, which one is not, whether your audience, that your respondents can fill the online questionnaire, whether you have that much of time, or is it something that needs more of interviewer interaction with the respondent? So basically go for what you call personal interviews over your self-administered interviews. We'll discuss all this in detail. So what the survey design is? So survey design is that what information is required and from whom you are going to take that information. And there are several communication methods. You interview, it can be personal, it can be telephonic, it can be through mails, it can be through fax, online, or combination. So there are various factors affecting choice, whether you can do personal interviewing, or if the respondent is not, say you are you are interviewing a person who is from rural settings, he has not that good internet connection, so you will not send a online link or self-administered online link to that person. So what kind of person he is, what kind of respondent profile he is, that you have to cover defines the kind of survey method that you are using. So factors affecting choice: sampling, type of population, question content, response rates, cost, available staff, all these. And the selection method. And also there's one thing called length of the interview. Okay, how much time you can give for this questionnaire, because length of the interview also plays a very important role. So do you think whether it's online or is it offline, the length of interview should be shorter? So in online surveys or in face-to-face, which one should have shorter length of interview?
Ma'am, face to face it should be shorter. Online it can be longer.
Online it can be longer. No, it's other way around. On online, for online studies, you try to keep it for like 10 to 15 minutes. Have you seen YouTube channels? There comes this short surveys. All surveys, whenever you not notice, no, online surveys are very small, are kept small, maximum 10 to 15 minutes, because then there's respondent fatigue and people tend to leave the survey. And whereas in face to face they have this obligation, because the second person is standing in front of you, so you can't say no and run away. So online interviews are generally smaller, so LOI is less in online interviews. Okay, so survey research. So purpose of survey research is to collect primary data. And by primary data, what do you understand by primary data? What is primary data?
Raw data.
Raw data.
Ma'am, the data which we collect for the first time, I mean, it is not from any other source.
Yes. So you are collecting this data yourself. Okay. It's not from any other source, as in it is not secondary data. You are not retrieving this data from any website or any study that is previously done. This is fresh data that you are collecting. Okay.
Data
So
generated for the very first time.
sorry.
Data generated for the very first time is called primary data.
So data gathered and assembled specifically for project at hand based on communication with a representative sample of individuals. Respondents कौन होते हैं?
Ma'am, the people who are, I mean, responding for the data, who are giving you
People
the
who are being
feedback,
interviewed.
opinion.
Who are being interviewed, right? So the purpose or objective of a survey, it can be identifying characteristic of target markets. You want to identify how your current customers are behaving, their attitudes, their purchase patterns, measuring employee job satisfaction, risk aversion of investors. All these are, different reasons for conducting survey. So this is how you must have gone through, some of these infographics. You must have counted like that. This 65%. All these are example of surveys. So these are the reasons cited by these respondents. 7% are saying this, 13% are saying this. Or see this client satisfaction survey. Then impact survey. These many percentages. So this is just to give you a hang of things like how survey results are shown, or what is the profile of the people who took surveys. So 37% were these, 20% were these, all these things. So these are just some examples of surveys. Okay, what are the advantages of surveys? What do you think? What are the advantages of conducting surveys?
By conducting surveys, I mean, business can get a feedback so that they can enhance their business in a more proper manner by meeting the needs of the customers.
Okay, that is like that you can get in other methods. Say focus group. Compare it with the focus group. What are the advantages of surveys? Here is a survey. You have a questionnaire and you are getting it filled. What do you think? What are the advantages of taking you are collecting data through that method?
I'm getting new audience. I mean, if you're doing survey, you get to know.
You get to know new audience, not exactly. So the advantages are, it provide a very quick and very inexpensive, efficient and accurate means of assessing information. So when I asked you to compare it with focus group, say in focus group you have the respondents who are experts, and then you have to look for a centrally located place. So there's the cost will involved in there. It's time taking. When you have a structured questionnaire, when you have to just ask these many questions, it's inexpensive, it's very quick, It's very accurate, and you can cover large sample. So these are the advantages of survey. They are quite flexible, inexpensive, efficient, accurate means of assessing information about a population. So this is a table that I got from SPSS. This is how it looks. So survey advantages is also standardization. So you can conduct a survey in 25 locations in India, and then you can use the same tool, the same questionnaire in all these cities. Yes, you need to do, translation in certain cities, or maybe, translate into vernacular language. That's a different thing. But you can again retranslate it into English, or numeric form, whatever you need. So there's kind of a standardization is there that gives you geographical flexibility, and also for doing that analysis, it's easier. You can do large sample, so the cost is low. And this standardization, ease of administration, because you know what each question needs. You can train your interviewers and get the questionnaire filled out. So generalizability is there. Tabulation and statistical analysis is easy, because the kind of data that comes is in same pattern, as in it's in same form. You can run all the analysis on that submitted set of data. So these are the advantages of conducting survey. What are the disadvantages? What do you think? What are the disadvantages while doing a survey and interviewer is
Ma'am, false information.
false information? Yes, there can be false information from interviewer side or from respondent.
Respondent.
Yeah, it can be from interviewer side also.
Time
Both ways.
consuming.
Ma'am, both ways.
Yeah, interviewer can conduct fake interviews. Okay, क्या करते हैं, भर देते हैं questionnaire and then say okay इतने, because they are allotted a certain number of interviews. They have to conduct say 100 interviews. So what they do is sometimes they do these fake interviews, and yes, it can be false information from respondent ends. Yes. Other
Time consuming.
yes, it is time consuming. Sometimes it's time consuming.
Incompletion.
Incompletion, yeah.
Unreliable.
And
Ma'am, unreliable.
Akbar bhai.
it's not reliable, as in because sometimes not reliable वो वाली चीज नहीं आएगी. You can always check data and see whether it's reliable, whether there are outliers and or not. But yeah, yes, there are high chances that you counter fake responses, or you can get false responses, or the interviewer bias can exist, or it's incomplete. All these are certain disadvantages that or the issues that you face. So it is difficult to develop surveys. First thing, to form the questionnaire, to construct the scales, and all these survey designing, how to sample, whom to sample, creating that database if you are not doing random sampling, all those things, that is there. Respondents may be unable or unwilling to provide the desired information. So what kind of information do you think that respondents are unwilling to provide? Generally, it's income. When we ask them what is your income, how average household income, they try to understate that. So that is the problem. There are structured and fixed responses. So in a questionnaire, you have created a closed-ended questionnaire. It's a structured questionnaire, and you have say like 5 to 6 options. But the reason why respondent is not buying a particular product is something which is not listed in your questionnaire. So if you ask, okay, what is the reason why you are for your purchase, why you are not buying a product? So it is possible that it's not because of quality, it's not because of price or discount or anything, but it's because the shopkeeper who is selling near that respondent's house is very rude and he doesn't like going there. So there are different reasons that can come, because it's not free flowing discussion, it's more of a structured. So those responses are difficult to capture. So these are the disadvantages. Okay, determine the information required. How do you determine it? Yes.
Ma'am, for instance, when the media is doing a survey before the election poll, so that can also be fake up to some extent. Like, for instance, the Republic TV, they
Mhm.
always call people who are more biased towards the BJP, like General Bakshi. They
Yes.
are always, supporting them and, against the Congress and the Pak
Mhm.
army. So that can be kind of fake survey or fake,
Yes.
opinion.
So that is an error in terms of sampling. That is called sampling error. So the people that you are picking, okay, the sample that you have picked is not a representative sample. You are yourself creating bias and picking those respondents, those who are, giving you positive answers because you want positive feedback. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
overall findings you want to be towards that extreme. You want it to be biased. So you are picking only those respondents. So that's an example of sampling error. Okay, so determine the information required. This is the first thing. What information is required? Why you are doing survey? So what kind of information you want to collect? And the second thing is that from whom you are going to collect that information. Okay, so let me show you one example here. This study was done to collect mall visiting behavior. So this client wanted to know what are the various mall visiting behavior and what are the need gaps. Basically, this client wanted to set a benchmark for destination. They wanted to come with something like a futuristic mall, okay, and something which is very new. And so they were doing this research and they wanted to know what is it that customers are looking for, what kind of new things that we can offer in a mall. And mall is not seen as a place for shopping now. It's a place for entertainment, it's a place for food, F&B, it's a place for retail. So this term, it's more of a entertaining, entertainment भी है, F&B भी है, retail भी है. So they were doing this kind of research. So what do you think? So coming to this, so we are trying to find from whom. The kind of information they will get is from what kind of respondents they should target to understand what is, futuristic mall, what all people are expecting from a mall.
Between the age group of 25 to 45.
Between age group of 25 to 45, okay. Other than age, that is demographics, yes. Other than age, anything regarding that frequency of visiting malls or anything like that?
I'm just visiting.
And
Yeah.
how often they
Um,
visit the mall? And how
Yes.
frequent is it?
Yes, how often they visit the mall. So people, those who don't visit mall or they visit like a day, once or twice, maybe not be the ideal respondents for them to give, because people, those who are very immersed, only they can give, what all they expect from mall. So yes, 25 to 45 years of age. So based on
Ma'am, it can be income. Can it be income?
it can be income, yes, because they were looking for these futuristic malls, which are very, ultra rich people. So definitely income also. So SECA, basically SECA, social economic class A, and range 25 to 35 years. And the equals were split between men and women, working professionals, active mall shoppers, at, who visit a mall at least once a week and should be shopping at popular malls, because we were looking for building a futuristic mall which is very luxurious kind of place. So ambience mall or select city, all these, or high streets like Galleria or Khan Market, all these. So are you able to link this, that the kind of information we needed, and that's how you decide upon what kind of target you have to reach out to. Okay, so one more thing is that, okay, who we have discussed this, where, how to do interviews. So we decided, okay, let's do, how can we interview these people? What do you think? What is the best way to interview these people? We have to interview these people who are of this age group and they visit malls very often. and they go to these kinds of mall, and these high streets. What do you think? Where can we interview them?
I'm in front of the mall
Ma'am, at the
itself.
mall and after the purchase or like
Yes,
spending of
ma'am.
some items, they give the feedback form, like some
And while
link,
they are
and they
having
have
their
to fill
meal
that.
also.
Yes,
While
ma'am.
Yes, exit interview. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. That.
So we propose them to have an exit interview. But what do you think when you are, interviewing a person who is in mall, who has just finished his shopping, and don't you think there's going to be any disadvantages of doing that? Can you do a 20 minutes or 30 minutes interview there?
No,
No.
It's quite difficult. So what we decided is that we will do profile identification. We will do short shopping interviews there. That's going to be only profile identification, that is name, address, occupation. Just take that details and filter them, and then we will do second round of interview by taking an appointment, okay, at their house or whatever decided location, but we'll take appointment. So the first was the shopper exit interview, जहाँ पर हमने profile identification details ली, and the second one was catchment interviews. So what is catchment? So if this company wanted to build mall here, so this smaller circle, this maybe a radius of 2 kilometer, 5 kilometer, under that is a primary catchment area. So whoever was living in this area, basically this close vicinity of DLF Cyber City, Sushant Lok, all these places that serve as a primary catchment area. So all those people who are living nearby that mall location will come to that mall. Okay, and we also felt that okay, there are consumers who are not in primary catchment area but maybe in the secondary catchment area. Okay, they served as a secondary catchment area. So people from Shushano, Golf Cross and South Delhi, all these people, we interviewed these people. So I think now you are able to understand that based on the kind of information, how you zero down to kind of respondents you have to select, and then from where to select, and the data collection method. If it is shopping mall intercepts we are doing, but we can't do interviews that is of longer duration, say 15 to 20 minutes, and that's why we decided to do short interview there at mall, and then longer interview took that profile identification thing, that is their address, and the second round of interviews we conducted uh, at these catchment areas. So this was the research methodology, that is purposive sampling, face-to-face interviews were used, and then structured questionnaire, and we used CAPI. CAPI is computer-assisted personal interviewing method. So you use tablet and show that questionnaire to respondents, or take responses on a tablet. Okay, so yes. So next comes methods of data collection. So there are various methods of data collection. It's personal interviewing, telephone interviews, mail surveys, online surveys, or combination of both. So on personal interviews, it's a form of direct communication, one-on-one, face-to-face. You understand that. So what are the advantages of personal interviews? In this face-to-face communication that is happening, face-to-face interviews, what are the advantages of these interviews?
And through this, reliable information can take place.
Yes, reliable information can take place. And yeah, so it is something that, if interviewer can understand whether the person is able to understand the questionnaire, and reliable also in terms, it's not fake, it's not that you can check the identity of the person. Okay, if there is any criteria, okay, any recruitment criteria that this person should visit malls, visit malls 2-3 times in a week, so whatever criteria you keep, you can check that again. So that brings more of reliable results. Okay, anything else on personal interviews? What are the advantages?
Here's what I found on the
What are the advantages of personal interviews? So there's opportunity for feedback, and you can do probing. Do you understand what is probing? Interviewer can probe.
Investigation.
Yes, investigation, but yes, what is probing?
Clear answers.
Yes, clear answers. You try to clarify, the responses. Okay, say I showed them one list of brands. I said, okay, which is your most favorite brand? And I asked, okay, which is the second favorite? And he says, okay, this one. Okay, any other brand you like, or any other brand that you are aware of? So this any other, you are asking questions and questions. You are not providing answers, but you are asking the respondent to, clarify, give more refined answers. Okay, that is called probing. Okay, and length of interview is controlled. So these are the advantages. You can get a feedback. Probing is the length of interview you can control. Completeness of questionnaire. What do you understand by non-response? What is non-response?
When there is no response.
Okay, so non-response is not just incomplete question. It's more of like at the start of questionnaire we ask. So we are conducting this study to find, say, preferences of the consumers like you, and would you like to participate in this study? So if they say no, that is a non-response. If they are not participating, so that's a non-response. Next thing is that you can use props and visual aids. We use show cars, or you could, or when we are checking, advertisement effectiveness, you can show that videos and all those visual props, all those things you can show. And there's high participation because, like I said, it becomes more of an obligation when a person is sitting in front of you, that you have to, finish that interview. You have to give answers, and it's not unlike online where you can, skip it or just leave the interview in the middle. Okay, what are the disadvantages? What are the disadvantages of personal interviews?
Cost.
Some questions may or may not offend the respondent.
Yeah, questions can offend the respondent. So if you are asking income as first question, that's really big no. What respondent will feel is that, okay, are you from income tax department or what? Why are you asking my income? That, that can offend. Yes. Anything else?
Lengthy, time taking, costly.
Yeah, it's costly. It can be time taking sometimes. Yes. Also, there's kind of interviewer influence. There can be interviewer bias. Interviewer is not asking the question word to word. He's changing the meaning of the questionnaire, of the question, okay, vis-a-vis when it is online. Or it can sometimes happen that interviewer is giving a leading question. What do you understand by leading question? Say,
Open-ended question which will lead to another question.
Open-end is something which is not structured, where you are giving a fill in the blank. Okay.
But we are providing a lead, right?
No. You are not providing anything. Open-end में तो आप कोई भी answers का नहीं बता. Leading question is like, which is interviewer क्या पूछता है? You like this brand ना? The interviewer is not asking that, okay, which are the following brands you like. He's saying, okay, you like this brand Bata na? So that is something, that is a leading question. You are just filling up the responses in respondents form. That is a leading question, which is not the right way of asking question. So respondent bias create ho jati hai. So these are the disadvantages. So this is called interviewer, influence. Okay, so then first way of personal interviewing is door-to-door interviews, which is household interviews. You go to household and then you ask these questions. So your team of interviewers will go to a household and then they'll ask questions. So it is conducted at respondent's home. So when personal contact is essential, it's conducive environment, and you can explain complicated tasks. Okay. Second one is executive interviews. So when you have to interview business people. So what are the disadvantages here? Say you are doing this research for a tech company, okay, and say HCL, and you have to interview these CXOs and CTOs, these decision makers who decide which brand of laptop they take, okay, from which brand, how they decide upon which brand to choose while buying laptops for their company. So these are called executive interviews when you are interviewing business people. What are the disadvantages of conducting such interviews?
Ma'am, the cost of hiring the experienced and higher level interviewer.
Yes, the cost of hiring these interviewers, because these interviewers are not the ones who can do, are the ones, the people, those who are doing household interviews. You can't use those interviewers here. So they need to be more experienced. So that cost is there. Next is shopping center intercept. Okay, we discussed this, no, shopping mall. So what are the advantages if you are doing interviews in shopping malls?
Lack of interest.
Variety of respondents.
No, so but what are the positives? Let's see the positive. What are the advantages of doing
Cost
interviews?
effective.
It's cost effective because
You don't have to go anywhere.
yeah, you don't have to go anywhere. It's more of centralized location. You are not going to house to house, and it's not household interviews. At one location, you are doing the interviews. Okay, and what are the disadvantages? So the disadvantages is that you don't get the non-representative sample. So in that previous, the case study that I showed you, how we selected the respondent is that we asked interviewer to select every third respondent. So it may happen that the kind of respondents you are looking for, we are looking for people, those who are A plus socioeconomic class, or those who visit malls that frequently. So you may not get that representative sample. So that is one problem. Okay. So then there is purchase intercept technique. You can go through this in detail later. That when a respondent is shopping, at that time you are interviewing them, or it can be computer assisted personal interviewing. That is CAPI, which is the most used way these days. And then you get direct data from backend. That is one. Okay. So door-to-door interviews and mall intercepts. In mall intercepts, you have lower cost, but you have higher refusal rates. And in door-to-door interviews, like we discussed, the costs are higher, but and the refusal rates are also higher. Sorry, the refusal rates are low. Okay, so next is telephone interviewing that you have already must have given some survey on telephone. So what are the disadvantages of telephonic interviews over personal interviews?
Ma'am, your number is shared publicly. I mean, for instance, nowadays, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal is calling everyone and asking for funds for the MCD.
Okay. So your number, yeah, they have this, system with the, all the numbers, but that is a problem for you. That's not a problem for company. So the advantage and disadvantages from business side.
So, ma'am, in this case, only suppose if the company is calling us and we are not liking that, we can block that number. So there is no response. So the
Yes,
same
ma'am.
case
And
may
we
go
can
for many people.
also cut the call.
Ma'am, behavior and body language cannot be observed.
Yes, your body language, what do you mean by that? Okay, all those verbal cues, you can't judge that because their interviewer is not seeing you. And
Miscommunication and non-reliability of information.
yes, and the thing is that people associate surveys with telemarketing. Okay, if somebody is calling you and then they say, okay, we want to do this survey, we want to do, the first thing is that comes, okay, you kuch bechne ke liye call kiya hai inhone. So that is the response, the kind of response. So all these things are there. These are the strengths and weaknesses that you can go through later. Okay. So quality control, all these. Then there is CATI, computer assisted telephonic interviews. Okay, जो अरविंद केजरीवाल जी कर रहे हैं, and there are other telephonic ways. Next come mail surveys. So you send across mails and you send across your questionnaire in mail, and that is self-administered. What do you understand by self-administered? What is self-administered survey?
Ma'am, when the company is doing it on their own, they are not hiring any external person.
Yeah, there's no interviewer involved.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you get a questionnaire and you have to fill it. That's self-administered. Okay, so yes, so no interviewer, no cost of interviewer. So that's an advantage. Inexpensive to implement, can reach many people, but these are the disadvantages: low response rate, self-selection, all these things. Okay, so how can you increase response rates? We talked a lot about response rate, non-response rate. How can you increase response rate? अगर तुम चाहते हो कि ओके रेस्पोंडेंट पार्टिसिपेट करने के लिए एग्री कर जाए, ओके, the response rates are high, should be high. What methods you can use?
Bribe कर दो पैसे देके.
Yeah, you give incentives, right? You do give incentives. You give vouchers, say 500, 300, and you tell them, okay, we'll give you vouchers. This is something that is done. It's legal. Other than that,
Ma'am, by keeping the questions very crisp, I mean, not very long and to the point.
not very long, but yeah, but then a respondent will only know about it while going through the questionnaire. So the thing is that to make respondent participate, so to tell them, just tweaking it a little, the response that you gave me, that you tell them that this survey is going to take only 20-30 minutes. With
Yes.
you say that it's going to take 40-50 minutes, okay, so there are high chances of non-response. But if you say, okay, the survey is going to take only 20-30 minutes, they will participate.
Ma'am, I think it also depends on the person who is taking the interview. I mean, for instance, if he's very, lazy and inactive, the way he starts the conversation also plays a key role.
Yeah, so that's what we tell them. There is confidentiality, there is MRSI guidelines. So you have to build that trust. So the initial pitch of the interviewer should be, that he should stress that your responses are very confidential. It will not be shared with anything else. We comply with these organizations, and I come from this reputed organization. All these things are done to build that trust. Other than that is that you ask for appointments, preliminary notification, you ask for appointments. So these are various methods through which, or you follow up. All these things are different ways of increasing the response rates. Okay, what is panel? Consumer panel. Do you know what is panel? So Nielsen has, very big consumer panel, and actually many organizations, many research consultancies have these panels. So what is a panel? So these are large representative sample of households that have agreed to participate in periodic mail surveys, product tests, and telephone surveys. So basically they have, companies have already taken them in panel, and they have already been informed that we are, will be conducting many surveys, and they have agreed to participate, be a part of that panel. So the non-response rates are lower in this case because people have already agreed to participate. Okay, self-administered surveys, mail panel, it allows for longitudinal research. What do you understand by longitudinal research? Longitudinal cross-sectional? What is longitudinal? Longitudinal is when you ask questions from same respondent, when you conduct survey from same respondent, but different time, multiple times. Say in first year, then in second year, but you are using the same respondent. That is longitudinal. So basically, if you have to measure anything like change in perception by age, say employment, how the preference changes of people by age. So you are taking the same respondents and you are asking these, doing these surveys every year. So that is a longitudinal study. For panel, the panels are used generally for longitudinal study, because that same sample and you have already taken them in your panel, so there's not going to be much of a non-response. So you can conduct these longitudinal study here. Okay, so you can check this also. This is consumer panel, which has like 50,000 Australians, and then they, this company asks for all these data from them. And then you can do your online survey. You can make on SurveyMonkey and all. For your live research, you can do it on Google Forms. Have you prepared any questionnaire on Google Form ever?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So next is observation. So observation is that when you are not asking any question, you're just observing the respondent. What do you think? How good, whether it's good, what are the advantages of observation? You're observing the method. For example, mystery shopping. For example, mystery shopping, or if, can you give me any example for observation? Observation methods. Recording the behavior patterns of people, objects. There's no direct contact with the stimuli being observed, and information recorded as the events occur from past records. What are the advantages you see of observation when you are observing a respondent and not asking question and then noting down the behavior? Yeah.
When we observe someone, there is less chance of biasness.
Yes, there are less chances of bias.
Helps in decision making.
Like it helps in decision making, as in it is, the data is more reliable. There are less chances of buying. You get to see actual way the people is behaving, that customer is behaving. So that's why this observation is these are the advantages of observation. So there are different ways, disguise and natural, you can do that. Check that. So personal observation, for example, mystery shopping or sales call monitoring. So we had, we were given this task, not just task, like we were offered, we can get free tickets from this airline, and what we had to do in return is that we have to observe their ground staff, how they are, before the flight departs, what all protocols are there, whether they are doing all those things or not. So you can do that for your sales representatives, generally for sales call monitoring. Here we did for airline ground staff. So all these kinds of studies you can do through observation. And to decide the layout, all these things, how a person buy different products, is it like these two products are things that they buy together, and how to decide on the layout. All these things you can do through observation, these kind of studies. And then there is mechanical observation. So many companies do this, they do this eye tracking. So how to check advertisement effectiveness is that through eye tracking. So they will show you these advertisement, and if your pupil is wider, and how big your pupil gets by seeing that advertisement, and then they check that, and the wider it gets, it means that the ad is that effective. that attractive to respondent. So there are different ways of mechanical observation through which you can do these observations. Okay, next is audit. Audit is when you examine physical records. You examine the inventory instead of just asking that how the sales are. Okay, from a shopkeeper, you are actually keeping a count. That is audit. Let me give you one example. This is a study I did like 6-7 years back. So this was a telecom brand. For a telecom brand, I did this audit. So these are the questions. What is the current stock level of SIM cards? What is the current stock level of e-top balance? So this is like 6-7 years back. So there was no Paytm, and all that thing was missing that time. And we used to have dongles that time. So what is the current stock level of dongles? So you are checking the inventory. So this is audit. And also there was a kind of a part was on observation. So we asked interviewer, this is something that you don't have to ask, the shopkeeper, but you have to observe whether all the marketing collaterals are there, whether there is that signage, whether there is that display, that A4 sheeters with, the plans, current plans of, call duration, what is the, the amount and plans, different plans, prepaid and postpaid plans, that A4 sheeter is there, all these marketing collaterals, whether they have or not. So that was more of an observation kind of activity. So, and then yes, so the percentage of market share, weekly sales of dongles. So this kind of analysis that we did for them. So what is the dongle penetration? How many dongles do they have? So it was more on based on inventory. Okay. Yes. And then there's something called content analysis. I'm not going through this. You can go through this later. Okay, survey versus observation. So actual behavior versus reports of behavior. You are asking a person how they are going to behave, vis-a-vis you are actually checking the behavior. So that is the positive with observation methods. Behaviors as a respondent is unaware or unable to communicate. So like I said, that advertisement, whether it is that attractive or not, respondent may say, yes, he liked it, or, but if you go with mechanical observation, like I said, they expose this respondent with that advertisement and check, the size of the pupil and how bigger that pupil goes by when the respondent sees the advertisement. That determines that how effective that ad is, how good that ad is. So that is a kind of a behavior that respondent is unaware or unable to communicate. So if you counter any such things, if you have to capture any such thing, that any such behavior that you feel ki respondent nahi bata payega, this is something that should go in observation. Then accordingly you decide upon to take observation and not to personally interviewing as a method of capturing data. Okay, reasons for the behavior is not given. Observers, selective perception is there, then time and cost, and then ethicality. Okay, so ethicality is something that you can't. It depends, like whether you can tell the respondent that we are observing you or not, and if you are not telling it, there can be some ethical issues. So yes, that was this. Let me show you one more case study because we have time. Okay, so this case study was for home loans. And what do you think that this Hero Housing Finance offers two kind of products. One is housing, that is home loans, and one is loans against property. So what do you think? What kind of respondents one should target to cover information regarding this? And where should they target? First question is respondents. If I want to know about home loans products, So this company wanted to know what are the barriers and what are the pinpoints that respondents face while applying for home loans, and what are the priority wise, what are the things that they give more priority, how they select from where to buy home loans or go for apply for home loans. What do you think? What kind of respondents one should cover to get this kind of information?
Ma'am, the people who
Well
have
educated.
relevant years of work, I mean, initially who have started their job, they can't apply for home loans. So people who have around like 5 to 10 years have worked, and also people who are looking for hassle-free, paperless work because they don't want to. And
Yes.
also
Well
when it is
educated.
case one and case two, when it comes to case two, people who already have a property, they would be applying, and case one is for the one who don't have any property, any mortgage to put in.
Yes, yes, yes. So there were two set of respondents, that is intenders who are intending to go for these property loans or home loans, and one was who have already availed this thing in past. So let me show you this. So users and intenders. So owners or users comprise of people who have taken loans in last 1 year. And the second group was intender, will comprise of people who intend to take loans in next 1 year. So जिन्होंने already ये avail की है facilities, they know what are the pinpoints. And then intenders are someone who can give other things, that what are the need gaps they are feeling, whether they are getting the proper information or not. So these were the two set of segments. Also, we had a segment, the sample divided based on gender, based on income, and we kept some quotas here. I'll talk about quotas in next session. And the geographies, that metro and tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. This is how you plan your sample. Okay, and these are the users. And how we did sampling. We did using purposive sampling. That is, we'll station our team at marketing offices, construction sites to reach new home buyers. Okay. And whereas to target LAP loan against property users, we will approach self-employed professionals and non-professionals. So method was this quantitative face-to-face and structured questionnaires. And we had this target group, like I discussed, users bhi the or intenders bhi the of home loans and all. And yes, that was the center. And we used this CAPI, computer assisted personal interviewing technique, although it was face-to-face, but it was taken on tablet. Yes, so that was all. Yes. So this was quite easy. Hope you were able to understand through it what are the different ways of data collection, why one should select this way over other. And that is more, you decide that based on the findings, based on what you have to do, what kind of research you are doing, what kind of target audience you are capturing. And that boils down to the kind of information you need. So are you able to, see the connect? कि क्या इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए, उसके बेसिस पे हम ट्राई चेक करते हैं कौन से रिस्पोंडेंट्स हम चूज करेंगे, एंड दैट डिफाइंस दैट व्हाट काइंड ऑफ डेटा कलेक्शन मेथड्स वी शुड सेलेक्ट. Any questions, any problem, any difficulty, any queries regarding this?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so we have extra class tomorrow. Monday, yes, we have two extra class actually, 2:45 to 5, and that's going to be, one is going to be on survey research. We'll discuss various errors in survey research, and second one is going to be on introduction to multivariate analysis. Okay, so see you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Okay, ma'am.
Bye,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Bye,
So
ma'am.
tomorrow we'll finish the syllabus for midterm.
No. So I said 4 sessions to go. So
4
one
sessions.
you have completed, second, third will complete tomorrow, and fourth one on Thursday. Yeah. So Thursday will complete it.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Bye,
you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, bye bye. Take care.
Thank you, ma'am.